Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Fierce fighting on the territory of Ukraine began to escalate like never before. Russia is trying to take new defensive measures against Ukraine. However, the Ukrainians seem determined to send the Russians to their country with the operations they will carry out. Russian Air Force continues to suffer heavy losses. Kremlin is trying to make new moves to make up for these losses. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has signaled that his country may be involved in the Ukraine war. U.S. military said it was on the alert for any situation. President of Ukraine Zelensky made historical statements. Finland's reason for joining NATO has been revealed. With its successful operations on the front, the Ukrainian army continues to defeat the Russian troops. According to the latest statement from Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk Oblast Military Administration, Ukrainian Army rocket and artillery units hit 2 command centers and 1 ammunition depot used by the Russian army in major operations against the Russian army. It is stated that these facilities used by the Russian army have become largely unusable as a result of the attacks. After the operations of the Ukrainian missile and artillery units, the Air Force also carried out major operations against the Russian troops. It was stated that the warplanes of the Ukrainian Air Force carried out a total of 25 attacks against the equipment clusters and air defense systems where the Russian soldiers were located. Success rate of these attacks was announced by local sources as 90%. After these attacks, the Russian army, which was badly damaged, launched a wave of attacks against the Ukrainians. According to the statement made by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Russia tried to advance with ground troops in a total of 17 regions, especially the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. However, it is stated that the Ukrainian army repelled all attacks in these 17 regions and sent the Russians back to their starting positions. Russian army, which could not advance with its ground troops, tried to break the resistance of the Ukrainian army by activating its missile and air forces. According to some local sources and military analysts, Russia carried out a total of 10 missile strikes and 16 air strikes on areas under the control of Ukrainian troops, as well as a total of 30 attacks with multi-barrel rocket launchers. Although the main target of the Russian attacks seems to be the Ukrainian army, in fact, Russia continues to target the infrastructure facilities used by the Ukrainian army. Ukrainian General Staff announced that Russia's threat of this attack continues and that the Ukrainian air defense units are on alert to prevent these attacks. Meanwhile, Ukraine's northern neighbor, Belarus, is making moves that could increase the tension in the war. Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko said this weekend that his country and Russia are continuing exercises together and that Belarusians are preparing to fight together with their Russian comrades against Ukraine. These statements by Lukashenko were interpreted as a sign that the Belarusian army might soon be involved in the war. Although the Russian Ministry of Defense says that at the moment there is no preparation for the involvement of Belarus in the war, we know that Russian missile and artillery units are carrying out attacks against Ukraine from the territory of Belarus. It is not difficult to predict that conflicts will increase in the coming period after Lukashenko's statements. Indeed, analysts at the Institute for War Studies also believe that the overall pace of military operations in eastern Ukraine will increase in the coming weeks. American analysts emphasize that due to the cooling and freezing of the ground, weather conditions will arise in eastern Ukraine in the near future, which will contribute to higher hostility rates. Serhiy Haidai, the head of the military administration of Luhansk Oblast, also stated that the approaching winter season will increase the tension between the two countries. Therefore, analysts believe that the Russians and Ukrainians are unlikely to suspend offensive operations in a year when weather conditions are favorable for conducting mechanized and maneuverable combat operations in eastern Ukraine. Because, in addition to the air and naval forces, the climatic conditions are also extremely important in the operations carried out by the land forces. Since the Ukrainian army has been aware of this situation for a long time, It regularly instructs its troops to modernize military vehicles and equipment and make them suitable for winter conditions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also made new statements on this issue. President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukraine has strengthened the entire perimeter of the country's border and is determined to send the Russian army back to where they came from. While the Ukrainian leader is giving first-hand signals that conflicts may escalate, other U.S. sources point out that this may not be the case. Unlike the Institute for War Studies, U.S. intelligence agencies believe that the conflict in Ukraine is slowing down and will continue to dwindle into the coming winter months. Avril Haines, the head of the U.S. intelligence, has the biggest share in bringing these allegations forward. Ms. Haines told a defense forum in California that most of the fighting is now around Bakhmut and Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine. Key point in Haines' statements was that the Ukrainian and Russian armies would spend most of the winter resting in preparation for a major counteroffensive scheduled to be launched in the spring. As a matter of fact, the news from the front seems to coincide with Haines' statements. Recently, the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine reported that it shot down a Russian Su-34 fighter bomber near Bakhmut in Donetsk Oblast by border guards. Downing of the plane by Ukrainian air defense systems angered the Russians. After that, Russia began preparations for a major counterattack. Allegedly, the Russian Air and Space Forces, known as VKS, took delivery of the new batch of Sukhoi Su-35 flankery fighter jets. This news was officially confirmed by United Aircraft Corporation, the manufacturer of the aircraft. Yuri Slyusar, managing director of United Aircraft Corporation, confirmed that the production facilities at the company's factory are operating at full capacity. Therefore, we know that the production of the Russian military industry continues. Recently, Russia took delivery of another Su-34 aircraft. Russia's increase in military aircraft production capacity seems to indicate a counterattack, especially in the coming months. As a matter of fact, not only this, but also historical allegations were made about the Russian aircraft industry. Allegedly, Russia uses unfinished airframes that entered the production line in 1980 to manufacture the MiG-35 fighter jet. MiG-35 Fulcrum F is a project of the Mikoyan Design Bureau, a subsidiary of the state-owned United Aircraft Corporation. Russians are touting it as a capable, light, highly maneuverable fighter capable of attacking mobile and stationary targets in all weather conditions, day and night. According to Russia's claims, although this plane is on the same level as the American F-35s, the situation is actually less than that. Because the F-35 fighter jet is a system that has proven itself all over the world and reaches a serious market. We should say that this is not the case for the MiG-35. Even more striking is that the MiG-35 is built around a fourth-generation airframe developed in the late 1980s. Even Russia partially admits that this plane is not good. Russian Air Force said it would order hundreds of these planes when the plane was first introduced. However, at the point we have reached, we see that there are only 37 orders. Finally, as Finland is preparing to become a new member of the North Atlantic Alliance, Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto first voiced the reasons for Finland's decision to join NATO. According to the Finnish Foreign Minister, the responsible for this is the aggressive policies in Russia and especially in Eastern Europe. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.